Right guys, welcome back. It's the Regal Gentleman YouTube channel, the Regal Gentleman Studio. Today we've got George in the chair. How are you, mate?
I'm good, how are you?
You good? I'm very well, thank you, yeah. So what are we doing? What's the plan today?
So mainly I wanted to have a consultation basically to understand what kind of haircut suits me.
Okay.
In the past, the haircuts I've gotten, it looks fine from the front, but then the sides and back it never really worked out. So the barber told me my head shape is kind of weird. So
Okay.
I was not too sure, what kind of haircut suits me and things like that. So I wanted to basically ask. That's the main thing, and then maybe.
Okay. Well, this is quite common that I get a lot lately. Is asking for haircuts that suit you. Yeah. Now it's not as straightforward as that. All right, we need to have a little kind of conversation on what you like, what you don't like, hair texture, things like that as well. So it's not as simple as me kind of figuring something out because I've only met you for about 30 seconds. So we have to have that's what part of the consultation though, is part of understanding who you are, what you do, what you like and don't like, things like that. First thing I want to talk about though is you said you got a weird head shape. Where do you think it's weird?
I mean, from the back, honestly, because I feel like it's a little large on the back, like curved, it's excessively curved. So then, for that reason, I usually grow out my hair a lot.
Okay.
Because when I cut it short, like usually when the barbers cut it short, it curves like excessively and doesn't look too good on me. So.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know whether you've got. Wouldn't particularly say you've got a weird head shape. Because you're meant to have a curve at the back.
Yeah, I get that, but then I don't know. When they cut it, it never really looks good. So.
Do you want me to tell you why? Because they're going too high at the back. Now, I probably can't show you this, but I'm going to show the camera so you can see yourself. I'll try and show you in a mirror. Right, I'm going to show the camera this. The reason why is because look, when I pull this hair out, it's pretty much all the same length through the back, even down to the bottom. So what that means is, George, is that it's either what is happening is if it's clippers, it's going too high and removing the crown. Okay, that will expose the back of the head a lot more than what maybe you need to, or you feel like you want. I wouldn't say there's anything about the feel of your head shape that would stand out to me. Okay. It's got a good curve on it. It could be. I mean, even with your hair so thick, it's not flat because you've got the thickness in there. You can see it's very. You press it in, it's very thick. You can't see your scalp whatsoever. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it doesn't feel weird. That's the thing. I think it's just the way it's been cut makes it look weird, if that makes sense. Yeah. So a lot of the problem there is either leaving it too low on a cut, so then you've got a real protrusion of hair. Basically, there's so much bulk of hair there at the back that it makes your head protrude out. That's one of the things I see a lot. Or it's been shaved right up and they remove your crown. Because again, essentially, without sounding terrible, it's an easy way to blend in. That's why a lot of it happens that way, because it's just up and off. Use the head shape as a blend and it's done. The real skill is keeping a crown in and working with the crown. Any barbers in here just watching know exactly, no, I'm right there, because it is a skill to manage the crown. It's very easy just to whip a crown off. And that unfortunately happens so much, which for me is frustrating because we end up, it's very hard for me then to try and show you what a head shape would look like if without doing it on you. So I don't think you've got a weird. Yeah, you haven't got a weird. You haven't got a head shape I'm concerned about. All right. What you were saying, like when you were sort of doing this, I know what you mean. Is that basically when you lose a lot of the back, it makes the front very. It can change your profile. So in terms of style that would suit you, or kind of any style that would suit you actually, it's got to be curly. All right, because you've got curly hair. So it's got to be a curly hair. But in terms of shape, that would suit you. You've got a very lean face, very, what's it look? Very square face.
I usually prefer having my hair down a little bit, like over my forehead.
Right.
And then, just going down on the sides. Mainly when you wanted to fix the back and the sides. So what I was thinking was maybe some sort of a taper would look good, but then, I wanted your opinion also.
You said you'd like the back and sides like a taper, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay, where does that come from? What makes you think that?
Usually a big fan of fade, like skin fades.
Yeah.
So then I prefer having the hair there, but then at the taper. So then I just like that look.
Okay, cool. And what do you want to do at the top? What's your idea about the top?
At the top, I'm not too sure. Like keep the curliness obviously, little bit length, but then you can take off if it's too much is taken off from sides, then you can take off from the top also to just clean it up. But then
Okay. And what is it about the top that you like then? What is it about having the length in the top that you enjoy?
I like the the curliness like falling down on my face a little bit.
Okay.
So then like a fringe kind of something like that.
Yeah.
So then I just like the look of it mainly.
Okay. Personally, I wouldn't have a fringe for you. Because your hairline's too low. Okay. And you've got facial hair. That personally I wouldn't. Especially as low down as you're saying like that.
Yeah.
Because what it does, I don't know if you'll see on camera, I think it closes up his face. Okay. Especially with glasses. Whereas if you lift that up a little bit, it really opens up his face and his features. But again, that's the beauty of this job. It's just personal opinion. It doesn't mean it's wrong. There's nothing wrong about a haircut, right? There's wrong ways of doing a haircut and there's certain aspects you wouldn't do. But when it comes to a style, I can't tell you what you like. I can only suggest things that I think would work based on my experience. That's all it is. So if you wanted a fringe, 100% do that and try and make it work for you. Okay. If I could suggest something, as it is now, is as much fringe I think you should go for. Because you've got a good hairline. So you can still see some forehead. Because if it was just, if you were to do that and we didn't have a consultation, and say I didn't have the time to do this, then I could potentially layer your fringe in like the way you would do for a crop to bulk it up a little bit. And then what would happen is you'd be left with lots of length here that would kind of bring it in like that, very heavy. And I just don't know whether that suits you personally. And again, it's only a personal opinion. Right? I don't think that too much fringe suits you.
Okay, that's fine. Then.
Do you know what I mean? But I do think, a fringe is cool, but I would just have it a little bit more, like the way you can still see some of the forehead through it. That's what I would honestly suggest. I think it's a good balance to have because you've still got length in there, but then it's not sitting too heavy on the eyebrows.
Okay, sure. That's fine.
Yeah? You sure? Yeah. All right, cool. And then back inside, how short do you want to take the back and sides then? Because a taper and a fade can be any length, okay? It just depends on what you like, because essentially a fade and a taper is, the word is a graduation, okay? So it goes from long to short. Okay. So what would you think in terms of length on the back and sides?
Honestly, not too sure. I guess just enough to blend the gradual decline over here to go down and maybe like get my face, not like a boundish, but like a little bit more straighter. So, okay. But then I'm not too sure about the actual length, so you could.
Okay. Now a taper, I honestly feel personally like it's slightly misinterpreted by a lot of people. Because when you go to skin on your neck here, that instantly limits you to how long you want the sides and the back to alter the shape. Because if you want to go down to skin here, then everything else has to match. You know what I mean? Everything has to match on here. Not necessarily skin around here, but if we were to maybe take off half the length, because I think that would balance out the curls. Personally for me, I would probably want to remove maybe 2/3 of the length on the back and sides. And then what I would do is taper it. In my terminology of taper is to remove excess length, which is what taper meant to me in the college books. It was remove any excess length of unwanted hair. That's what a taper was called. That was the description of a taper. But then if you want a skin taper on the neck, that alters everything. Where it's very short at the neck and then loads of length everywhere else. Obviously, it wouldn't be like that, and that's a very extreme way of explaining it. But what I mean is the contrast would be so high. So anybody, if you feel like commenting, let me know what your understanding of a taper is, because my understanding is a graduation of unwanted and unnecessary length. That was what I was known as. So I think when someone comes in instantly for a taper, we have to have this conversation. What is a taper? Because I'm not a new school barber. I'm a bit of an old school barber now. I know I don't look it, but I probably am. But I started 20 years ago, so these haircuts were always in. They just weren't known as what they are now. So I would probably just do like what I would call a taper, where it just graduates down to a length that works. So it will go down to nothing, but it won't be as harsh as a line and a taper that you're probably seeing more so now on Instagram.
Like removing the excess length, that actually makes more sense because I have a lot of excess on there. So if that works better.
Definitely. I think it's just be spoken to your neckline as well, because it is simple just to put a zero on and go from there. But with your neckline as well, if I just show the camera, you've got a very sort of sparse neckline that comes into a point down the middle. Like that, so it comes in there, And it would be, for argument's sake, if I just whacked a zero up to that point there, it would save my life make my life a lot easier, because I wouldn't have to worry about trying to taper it perfectly for you, because you just remove the problem area straight away. But that wouldn't necessarily work for the side profile. Now, that's the thing, it takes me back to the shape of your head. is that this is why this is important, the understanding of what taper means. Because if I was to put a 0 on there and maintain length through the back and sides, you could end up with a bit of a bulbous kind of look, a bit of protrusion at the back that could make your head look really round and then cut right in at the neckline. I've done a million necklines like yours, but not yours. Okay. And everyone's different. So I think we need to, I honestly think clipper over comb, bespoke it more to you, then we can work on our guide from here, and then we can just taper it down to the point that ends up really fitting in with your face shape and maintaining a square finish.
Sure.
All right? All right, well, let's get you gowned up and let's get you started. All right? What we've done is I've sectioned off the top in a horseshoe section, but what I've done at the back is I've kept George's crown in as well, because it is still quite short through here, and I don't want to section off the crown because I want to use that crown to form part of my guide. The reason why I'm doing that is because we want to maintain length from the top. So I want the crown to be part of creating the guide that we work to into the top as well. All right, and again, it's all about head shape. And especially with George, that's one of the things he said as soon as he sat down. Now, when you're doing a consultation with somebody, try and remember the first things they talk about, because that's usually their first big problem or major concern. Or if they want to go for a restyle or they want to keep it long, whatever their first thought is usually the majority thought, if that makes sense. I'm going to start clipper over comb, and I'm going to start at the back, all right? Because I want to really get the back and sides right, but I want to get the back right as well. And I want to get that taper right. So I'm going to start on the widest area, the biggest problem area for George. Maybe he doesn't realise how big it was, but to me, it feels like it was a big deal. And then we can work around into the sides, working from, I go left to right, all right? So we want to move a lot of length at the bottom. Again, he wants to go quite short at the bottom, but I want to try and maintain probably what there already is there, because that will fit in nicely to the top. As you see, when you pull that crown down, it matches already. So if I can use the crown as my guide, that's why I wanted to keep it in, because it matches to the top bit as well. That will allow me then to get a nice connection into the top for him. Now at the bottom, working the comb towards me, and moving that length. Meet in the middle, so I'm going to keep that length there, elevation, and work down to meet my clipper width. And then closer and closer down to the bottom. You see, we're keeping that length sitting in through there. So whereas you can see, can you imagine what, say, the last haircut was, where it went too high up? If I just push onto that thickness, it almost does come very straight at the back there. So if that was taken too high up, that would make his head look really long. Did you think it looked long?
I did.
So that all that is just a continuous length all the way up to the crown, whereas now we don't have that. Same thing again. Using the guide from the right hand side. Do you know what? I'll do it for you guys. Let me go and get a white comb, one sec, because it would be a lot easier to see. Better, isn't it? So what we'll do, we'll see the guide coming through the right hand side now, okay? You just look to the right hand side there, okay? And as you can see, I'm angling the teeth towards me. I'll give you a reason why I don't tend to use actual clipper combs. Now, nothing against this brand at all. I love their clippers. But one of the reasons why I don't like using these particular combs is because the teeth are weak. And as you can see, when I push my clipper on it, the teeth move in, right? You see that? Now that is actually taking the hair shorter, because essentially I'm pushing onto the comb, and the hair that is coming through the top of the comb, through the teeth, is going shorter, because look at the angle it takes on. See? Whereas when I use my Matador comb, the reason why I like using this, why I recommend it, the teeth don't move, see? So the true length you are achieving with the clipper over comb is what it is. It's not going in, it's not bending at the top. The more pressure you put on doesn't make a difference, it just bends at the spine more than anything else. So that's one of the reasons why I don't tend to use them. And again, no disrespect to the brand, I just prefer more heavy duty combs, more sterner combs. So when you're using anything like this, just be careful that not to press too hard with the clippers, okay? So you don't move the teeth too much, okay? There's my guide on the right hand side, teeth right towards me. Over the hair, just to cap off any little curls, just smoothing it off a little bit as well. Same again now, on the right hand side, I've got my guide from the centre back round to the left hand side, and we're keeping a very square shape by keeping the length up here longer and going shorter and tapering in the sides like so. Removing that excess length. So this time I'm using the guide from the left hand side. Now just do a nice cross check. Now, see there's more length coming off this side now. Doesn't mean we're doing anything wrong, remember we're following our guide. It just might mean the right hand side could be slightly asymmetric in terms of the last haircut. And again, because it is quite long, it's very hard to see that. So yeah, just follow your guide from the left hand side. And as long as you can still see your guide and you're following it, don't worry what length comes through, because you know you're still doing the right thing. A lot of length coming through that front bit there, which you don't need really. And we're making this haircut bespoke for George as well. So again, we're managing his expectations of leaving length at the top and having a fringe, but also George has allowed me to go for the length that I would work for his face shape as well. So it's nice to have that little bit of freedom, but again, I'm not going crazy. I'm just doing something that I think would work for him, and obviously, you know, it's going to blend into the top as well. Not going to be too creative. We're not going for, you know, any particular like sort of high taper or anything using guards. We'll just use a bit of clipper over comb, just to kind of work it into what I feel would be a good face shape and a good head shape for him as well. Now we'll have to use a black comb at the moment because I don't have any white combs in this size. But we're going to go on to working on my detailing, so what I call edging. Do you want the temples nice and sharp, or do you want it more natural?
Temples gonna be sharp.
Sharp, yeah? Okay. I'm going to taper them a bit shorter. As you can see by tapering it, I've exposed the hairline as well, a lot more than it was. I'm just blending, or tapering, as we say, the hair from the sides into the beard. I think that's a really nice way of picking a length for a taper, because then it should seamlessly flow into the beard as well. So just cutting in slightly to the hairline, just to create a sharper effect. There we go, that's a nice sharp one. Again, not cut too much into the solid hair, just more the kind of baby hairs that kind of give a bit of a kind of more natural look to the sideburns. Just a few hairs on the edges. That creates a very nice sharp temple. And again, tapering around the ears now to expose his natural hairline. just tapering in the hairline at the back. You can see by just using the size 5 comb, running the clippers up and off, it exposes the hairline. Now you can see there quite clearly, there's a natural line, which fits perfectly into the line we've created up here. So all we do is we follow that and then create it down the bottom. Just on this side here, I'm going to level it off so it's even with the middle layer, okay? Like that. I'm not putting a solid line, I'm not going to be placing a line like this. Working it up and off. I'll move on to my size 1 comb now, which is this one. I'm going to work from the bottom up, and then I'm going to work down to creating a more of a kind of zero effect along the bottom, but just in a way that's going to work with the neckline. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, why not just pop a number 1 on there and taper it that way? Now, the reason I'm not putting number 1 on is because there's actually a lot more length sitting here than there is anywhere else. I don't know if you can see them longer hairs there. If I was to put number 1 on, I would completely remove that hair there. Well, not completely remove, but you'd see a really big sparse area. Whereas now, I feel like so you can just, it's not as obvious, it just tapers in a bit nicer. If you've got no, if say you've got no access to electricity wherever you're working, which, you know, does seem a little bit weird to say that in 2021, but at the same time, that's not always the case, right? You know, you might not have access, you might have a power cut, whatever the situation might be. Or you might be on a beach, you know, imagine being able to cut hair on a beach, that'd be the dream, wouldn't it? Now, imagine you've just got a scissor or a pair of battery powered trimmers and you've got 3 combs, right? Maybe 4 combs max. You could do any haircut you really want to with just them tools. So that's why I think it's always quite vital to learn these kind of things like clipper over comb or just comb use in general. What combs work best for what, why you do it, what the reasoning behind it. So if that is something that you would be interested in learning more of, maybe it's not, again, it's not saying that using guards is bad. It's just adding something else to your knowledge, you know, add a little bit more to your repertoire, as I always say. Then we do have our education platform, which you can learn all of these techniques that I'm doing on, and also obviously keep it as well. So you download it and you get to keep it. Last but not least, back onto my clippers and just around the very back here, Liam, just in the middle, just going to take away the darkness of that middle bit there, just using my 0.5 down the very bottom like so, and just working through the lever until that blends out to nothing, like so. And that is a very nice taper, not too harsh, but just enough that it makes his neckline strengthen as well. Right, so starting on the right hand side, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to work straight from the crown and around. Okay, so as you can see, the section that I'm taking now is coming from the crown that we left in. Again, I was using that as the guide, remember? And I'm working it just above the horseshoe section. I'm going to follow this guide, pulling it straight out. Follow the guide from the left hand side. See that little bit there? That is the guide I'm following, and all the way underneath as well. So look at the angle that I'm doing there. This is the angle I'm pulling it down. Remember, we're leaving length on top, so we want to pull this down to match. If we pulled it straight out, like so, we'd lose a lot more length. All right, which we don't want to. We want to pull it down so we match the clipper work. I'm cutting this length off. remember, this is the transition area from the sides to the top. So again, regardless of what we're doing lengthwise on top, we're not going to be affecting it because we're just working into a transition, okay? Then we just work again right into the middle, doing the same technique. Straight across. Fairly decent sized sections as well. So not as small as you would do because again, we're leaving more length. Now when we're talking about how the side and the temple can cave in, what we do here is we pull it straight out. We don't go inwards or like this. We keep going straight out and match to the guy to the left hand side. That will bring out that part of the head. That's what will keep the squareness in it. If we were to go in and follow the hairline, we'll be cutting that off like that. Whereas you want to pull it out, pull it around and look how much more length we leave. Starting to fill in and build up the length through here. So again, widen that part of the head to create the squareness that we're looking for. Just off center, like so. Top is pretty dry now, which is great when you're cutting curly hair. You know, you don't want to do it too wet. Wetting the curly hair and cutting it that way is fine. There's no, you know, there is no rule all the time about doing that, but I think for the purpose of what we're trying to achieve for George's hair, I want to see what the curl is like as I'm cutting it. Say if I'm in your shoes and you're working in a very busy barbershop and you've got people talking to your left, right and centre, you may forget what the hair was like when the client came in the chair. So just by letting it dry off naturally, we start to really understand how the hair is and we can cut accordingly to that. I'll take a little section now because I'm working with one of the thickest sets of hair I've ever worked with, which is a good thing, George. Not a bad thing at all, mate. You see what we were talking about before, there's a lot less coming off now. There we go. Now, length off the top, okay? What I want to do is club cut or straight cut or whatever you want to call it, right? And just work from the back, again working from that crown, lift it up and just take off the very ends, okay? Just the very sort of brittle, frayed ends that you get on curly hair, like so. See them just a little bit, that little tiny point. I'm just going to take off, so make it nice and healthy again. You know, if you point cut into curly hair, it can tend to look unhealthy at the ends because the angle you're cutting at, whereas you want it nice and straight, which again promotes the shape we're trying to achieve as well. We're looking, you know, curly hair needs to be cut into a shape. It can't be, you know, it's not as forgiving as say my hair is. My hair is quite forgiving because it's straight. You can add texture to it, and if you make a mistake, you say it's texture. You know. Just pulling it straight up. As we get to the front, I'm going to pull this fringe back to the previous section. Again, I want to leave a length in there. It's just literally tight on the very ends. Again, we have allowed a bit of bulk to the front. But again, I know exactly how it's going to style because it's styled this way when he came in. So again, I haven't removed much length, so it's going to style the same way again. Taking off some dry ends. When it comes to texture, I'm going to do a bit of a different texture today. I'm going to do one that we call a ribbon section or twist and cut. There's loads of different sort of variations of the word, but I always call it like kind of ribbon, right? Section, just freehand, no comb, freehand, and twist it around my fingers. Now from halfway, I'm just going to run the scissor in just small cuts, like so, until we get to the top. The reason why I call it a ribbon, because as you pull it out, it creates like a really ribbon effect when it kind of gets that curl. You know, when you're creating a ribbon for a parcel and you hold your scissor and you pull it really hard and it frizzles back in on itself or it curls back in on itself, that's what that does. Look at the curl we get on that now. It's almost like a ringlet, okay? So as far up the scissor as you can go, from halfway up the hair, just cut it like this and just keep working up with your finger and your scissor, okay? So you're not taking a lot of length off, but you're taking enough off just to create a spiral, which will add a little bit of thinning out to the hair, but create a little bit of texture. Like that. Like so. Now if the hair was wet, You could just slide up and down, or because the hair is dry, you want to do little cuts like this, because otherwise it'd just be very, very painful for George. That's it. Right, I'll start out for you. Gonna leave it very, very natural looking, okay? I don't want to plaster these curls with loads of product. I want it just to look very effortless, very natural. That's the main thing. Okay? Curls don't want to be heavily sort of involved with too much product anyway. Something just light. I'm going to use a salt spray for this, just to kind of dry the salt spray in. Obviously the hair's not very wet, so just want to dry the salt spray in, and then I'm going to use a little bit of styling powder just to kind of bring the curls out a bit. I'm going to use some of the Balmain texturizing salt spray. I mean, the smell of this is just unreal. It really is. But it actually really does work as well. Now, sometimes, you know, when there's a very sort of lovely smell on the product, it doesn't always, you know, live up to the expectations. Sometimes it's the scent that sells it more than the actual product itself, but this has got both. So I'm just gonna work it in very lightly into the hair, almost kind of pinching at it, not being too vigorous. Again, with curls, you wanna be very delicate with curls, all right? You don't need to be scrunching them really heavy. See a lot of videos on Instagram where a lot of people are kind of really scrunching at them. You don't need to, you just bind them, it can cause damage. You just want to kind of be very, very gentle with them. Like that. Again, we want that fringe, but a little bit of forehead exposure as well. I think it really suits George as well, in terms of his face shape too. So, what we'll do is, just with a diffuser, so rest it over the hair. I'm not going to touch it, I'm going to dry it as it is now. Okay, because I love the shape, I love the curls. I don't need to work into the curls at all. We've already set the shape with the salt spray. And as you can see, when you use a diffuser, the hair barely moves. Okay, it's not the same as when you've got a nozzle on. I'm just going to feel if it's dry. Just going to pinch a little bit just to feel if it's dry. That's one of the reasons why I love curls, and I wish I had them myself. It's because when you get the right cut, it's so effortless to style it in the way you want it to. Literally hold the heat over it. There we go. So this is the powder grip from Regal. What we do, sprinkle it over the top like so, just a little bit. And then we'll work it into the hair again, being quite light, not too vigorous. All I do is just really, really bring them curls out a lot more as well. And then just touch the sides where the blend is, just to create that nice shape. And then just push the curls up a little bit, twist them so they all spread out a little bit, like so. And just use the mirror to get that final touch. And that's it. And what I'll do is I will give George his glasses. Number one, because he doesn't forget them, but two, so you can have a look at the style as well. There you go, buddy. Have a little look. How's that for you?
I love it actually.
Happy, yeah?
It's really good.
It really is, isn't it? It really is. There's a taper.
Yeah.
So it still is shorter, but it just isn't as aggressive as what it would be if we put a zero and then worked up and off. Because again, you've got a wider area to blend into when you've worked on a zero. And what it does, it just balances everything else. So there's the back of the head now.
Yeah.
See, wow. It doesn't look long or anything like that at all, because we've kept that length through the crown. Yeah. We use that crown to blend it into the top as well. So you've got that lovely silhouette from the back working into a taper that works for your neckline and also for the sort of the shape as well of what you've got going on.
Wow, okay.
Happy, yeah?
It's just a place, yeah. I've never seen my hair like this. So
really?
Yeah,
oh, thanks, man. It looks great. It really suits you. All right.
Wow, yes.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.